All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope you don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 200 of the KissFAQ Podcast. It's a milestone, and I never thought we'd get to 50, let alone 100, let alone 150, 200, and we're still talking about Kiss. So our friends at Three Sides of the Coin have just recorded their 300th episode, so congratulations to those guys. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you, Mark, you, Lonnie, and you, Ken. You're kind of the regular guys on this show, the components that make it all that it can be, and I very much appreciate being a part of a show with you guys. You're all really fun to hang out with, in person as well as on the webs, and you all bring a lot to this show and to other ones that you're involved in and have participated in. So thank you very much. I'd also like to give a shout out to people like Alan, Alex, Andrew, Chris, Daniel, Joel, Jay, who else? Sean, Michael, Andy. Yeah, Andy's been on a few. Jared, who was on once. Carl, and of course the mighty Mitch, who've all been on various shows as co-hosts, panelists, partners, and whatnot. Every single one of you have contributed, and I think most importantly, out of everything that we need to thank today as we do our 200th episode, is you, the listeners, the people who sit there and tolerate our wafflings, our pontifications, our incomplete thoughts, and everything else. So let's just go around, and if anyone wants to say anything to mark this momentous occasion before the hurricane hits, and prayers to everyone on the East Coast who's affected by that. Mark, why not we go to you first?
Well, I think you took a lot of the words out of my mouth. I mean, I was surprised that we got this far. Not really surprised, but I was, when you start doing this, you never really think that you're going to get to 200 or 300 episodes doing this. And again, I know I've mentioned this before, but, I've really enjoyed doing this. And if it wasn't for me doing this and with you giving me a chance to come on here and regularly participate in this, I don't think I would have even dared try to co-host that other podcast, the Yes one that I do, because I didn't have nearly the courage to do this kind of a thing unless I would have done it here with you. So thanks, Julian, for giving me the chance and giving me the proper training to get prepared for that kind of a thing to do. So, and again, thanks to the listeners and the followers and stuff like that. I mean, even though I get egged a lot, but still, I'm used to it now, so no problems.
Damn it! I forgot Nigel. Why is he not on my list here?
Oh, yeah.
Nigel, I'm sorry. And he was on the first episode as well. You have to remember, I did not want to do a podcast. I had turned down the opportunity to kind of fill in for someone on another podcast when he left that show. I didn't want to do it. And you know what? I've had a great time. I've had a great time doing this show and also all the other shows that I've been fortunate to guest on as well. Ken, how about you?
Yeah. When this started, I didn't know if, for instance, first of all, if I would last on the podcast, how long I would last, or versus how long many years we've been doing it now, and it's 200 episodes. So we must be doing, I don't know if we're doing something right or wrong, but
or we're just really stubborn.
Yeah, but I thank you for the companionship, friendship, meeting you guys and being able to talk Kiss, and that's the main thing, what it was all about. And I learned a lot. I don't pretend to know everything about Kiss, but I learned a lot from each and every one of you and others that have been on here. So it's just a good time, and I hope we can maybe make it another 200.
Don't know about that, but keep going as long as it's fun. Let's keep it week to week, eh? Lonnie, as not the voice of reason, wearing your Bengals hat. What are your thoughts?
Want to know better than
treason?
I'm sorry.
Steelers who couldn't beat the Cleveland Browns on Sunday.
I initially thought it was a Browns hat. The sort of team that.
Well, the Browns are off to their best start since 2004, going 0-1 after 1 week.
Undefeated. There you go.
Undefeated after 1 week. So congratulations to everyone in Cleveland. But I have thoroughly enjoyed being a regular participant on this show. I have told the story before on the show that people who listen to the show may or may not know that after Mitch left Three Sides, I auditioned and did a show with Three Sides and wasn't selected, and they went with Mark, which is great. Mark's a great guy. But I was really disappointed that I didn't get that gig. And I was considering starting my own KISS podcast at the time that the FAQ started their own. And I saw a thread on the board that they were doing it. I didn't participate in week one, but then I messaged Julian on the board and said, hey, I'm really interested in doing this. And he brought me aboard, and I've been a regular ever since, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And I think my wife thanks you, Julian, for starting this podcast more than anyone else, because it gives me an hour just to talk KISS, and I don't have to come home and talk to her about it because she could really care less. So,
she doesn't appreciate the travel of going to nice places like Nashville or Atlanta and hanging out behind a table.
World traveler going to Nashville and Atlanta and being part of KISS events. She's thrilled. So, but no, I in all seriousness, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I look forward to, however many more episodes we do, whether it's the other 200 or whether it's 2 more.
Yeah, absolutely. We never know what's going to happen. And again, there are so many KISS podcasts out there that, that I don't think if anyone goes, it doesn't really matter, because there's always a void to fill. And there's so much brotherhood between the majority of the podcasts that you'd probably see someone popping up. We've always tried to have people from other shows on this one or participate in shows with them. And a good example of that just this past weekend was us on the Lipstick panel doing a countdown for what album were we doing? Lick It Up.
Lick It Up.
And the 3 guys from Ages of Rock, who have been fortunate to hang out with a couple of times, and they're really fun, joined Greg and Steve, and so did the new I Love It Loud cast guy, and can't remember your name off the top of my head. You're still so new. So, that's what it's about to me. It's about getting out there and also talking other bands, other things. Mark, you do the Yes podcast as well. And, you get other itches to scratch. So, it's really fun. Just looking back at that debut, I probably haven't developed much. I know that much. But, God, Alex, Daniel, and Nigel were on that first episode. So, Alex, if you're watching, congratulations to you and yours.
Yeah.
So, it's like a really positive week. I mean, I'm in a happier place. I mean, I've just been through a whole bunch of heart tests and just had the all clear not to cancel the cruise. So very happy about that.
That's good.
So awesome. Let's talk some KISS today, and we'll start off with happy birthday to this monstrosity. Released on the same day as an album I'd much rather talk about, Tooth and Nail by Dokken, of course. But since we're to celebrate this thing's birthday, I don't know if we've ever given this the full treatment, and I'm not really in the mood to today, but let's just go over your first impressions and, the first time you heard Animalize or experienced Animalize. Ken, you probably experienced it on the day it was released.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed it. Like any new KISS album, you're so excited and to get it home and hear the music. This new music from KISS, which is always a good thing. Of course, we already knew about Heaven's on Fire. I remember buying that single even before the album came out. And I think it was an import single. But having said that, I thought it wasn't bad. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed songs like I said, Heaven's on Fire and Get All You Can Take. Even Burn, Bitch, Burn, it was good to me. I know it trailed off a little bit on the second side at the very end, but otherwise, it's not a horrible album, but it's thought of as one of the bottom, tier albums for KISS and popularity. But if I listen to it, I still, get joy out of hearing a lot of the music on it.
It's a great review. It's not a horrible album.
Yeah, and I'm going to
It's
come.
not.
I'm going to come back to you,
Well,
Ken.
some people think it is. It gets that reputation. So
Yeah, so we'll come back around for best and worst on the album, and what you think of it. Did you see them during the tour?
I did. Yeah.
Which show did you
I
go
want
to?
to say it was. I can't remember if it was the Cow Palace or in Oakland on that one. Maybe it was Oakland.
I think it was Oakland, off the top of my head.
At the Henry J. Kaiser,
Yes.
which is that now, Oakland Auditorium Arena.
Yeah, can't remember. Whatever.
But anyway, it was in the Bay Area, and I remember seeing it, and it was good. It was the one concert though, which I remember at the beginning when we were waiting in line outside, and they have the metal barricades and things, and it was a wild crowd, and I thought we were going to get trampled and crushed. Really, seriously,
Really?
It was really strange to me. It's like I started thinking of the Who concert, where people died. I was like, oh crap, what's going on here? I was like, they need to get hold of the people. It was really weird, but otherwise, it was a great show from what I remember. I guess that's the one where I keep getting mixed up. The one where he did had the Michael Jackson doll. Is that the one?
That's probably the one, 84 or 85, depending where you were.
Yeah, it's about the time. But anyway, it was real good from what I remember. It doesn't stand out as one of their better stages or anything like that because it doesn't compare to Tank or the Leon Sphinx and so on. But it was still, I'm sure, a good show. I know it wasn't bad. I know the only one I kind of was disappointed as far as live concerts was the Crazy Nights tour.
Hmm. So who was the opening act for your show? Was it Queensryche or Wasp?
I think it was Queensryche. Yeah, yeah.
That would have been good.
And they were okay. Yeah, they were pretty good.
Of course, Mark would say they're a good proggy guy up there. Lonnie, what about you? Because obviously, like me, you're a bit later to the game when it comes to these albums. What was your first encounter with Animalize?
For sure. Animalize was actually one of the first albums I had as a child. I think I got it for my birthday or Christmas around 84, 85, something in that area. But I think I've told this on this show before. My mom was not a fan of Kiss when I was a kid, and I had the album on cassette. And when you open up the cassette, it was that picture of the band standing over like that string of fire or river of fire or whatever the hell it was. And my mom thought that was terrible, and I swear she threw it away because one day I went back to my room and it was gone. And I'm like, hey mom, did you see my Kiss Animalize cover? She goes, oh no, I think the dog ate it.
Oh, that giveaway.
I'm stupid. I'm stupid. I'm not that dog. So, but no, I loved Animalize as a kid, and I still like it. It it has a special place in my heart because it was one of the first albums I had as a kid. So it's like, I'll agree with Ken though. It's not horrible, but it's not. But I wouldn't put it in my top, 10 Kiss albums though either. But it's special to me for sentimental reasons.
All right, Mark. So you were kindly showing everyone, and this is for the visually impaired who are listening to us on iTunes, the Canadian "Heaven's on Fire" single. Thank you, because it makes me not have to go dig out a flaming tennis ball European cover for that same single, which is the horrible, the worst single cover ever, perhaps. Apart from a couple of other ones released in England do come pretty close. What was your first encounter with Animalize, and just tell us a little bit about your history with it?
Well, actually, it was that single, to be honest, because I remember seeing I'm pretty sure I saw the video, and my sister, who was, the big Kiss person in the house at that time, I'm very sure that she got the record when it came out. I would have been like 11 years old at that time, and had already been introduced to Kiss the year before. So, when she had it, she played it quite frequently, and I remember "Heaven's on Fire" being played a lot in the house. And in fact, Well, it was actually funny that you brought this up, because what we used to do, I don't know how many people of European or Eastern European background watch this show, but what used to be very popular to do is when people immigrated over to Canada, we would send back cassette recordings back to our families back overseas. And we would talk on little microphones on our cassettes and talk about what's happened in the family and blah, 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 and keep them updated on what's going on in Canada. And one of the things we used to always do is play them a song or two that was pretty popular in the top 10 or 40 here in Canada, and record it and send it back to them. And I remember my sister put Heavens on Fire on cassette for them and sent it back to Czechoslovakia at the time then. So I remember clearly that was the big song. We were listening to it all the time, that record in the house. So that's really the introduction to it. I never got the record proper until years later, because there was no point. My sister had it there. I heard it through the house so many times. So it didn't really make sense for me at that time to get it. But I did get it later on. And like you guys, it's not the worst record, but it's definitely not my favorite.
So obviously, as a guy who got into the band with Asylum, I don't remember Animalize. And it's always been, I've probably said it 50 times on this show, I lived in Binghamton, fucking New York. And had I been a fan a year earlier, then I would have seen a Mark St. John performance. Which
that's right.
It still eats me up to this day. But you know what? If you're late to the party, you're late to the party. So I would have seen the Heavens on Fire video on MTV, because I just watched it continuously. I don't remember it before I became a fan of Kiss because of the Tears Are Falling, All Night videos and all that stuff. Then I remember it, and it's like, oh, this is really cool. This is, my music. I sound like a Paul Stanley lyric from Crazy Nights.
It makes me proud.
Yes. Turn it up to 11. So I got Animalize soon after Asylum, because Asylum was obviously the first album I bought, because it was new. The Heavens on Fire video, it would have been, one of those things. I think, Thrills in the Night was out by the time I finally got the album. I played the shit out of Asylum and Animalize. And to this day, I hate Animalize because I loved it so much when I was 14. So it was only after going back through the Kiss catalog that I completely did an about face and said, oh no, this is garbage compared to... And, I completely fell for when you do put it next to Love Gun or Rock and Roll Over or Destroyer, you don't. You just have to take it within the context of the year and the music and everything that it was being recorded. I always thought Burn Bitch Burn was stupid. Lonely was the
Even
Hunter.
at 14. Even at 14, did you think Burn Bitch Burn was stupid?
Even at 14.
Just to put it in context.
I thought that was completely idiotic. Paul's stuff on this album, apart from Thrills in the Night, which I hated at the time, was fantastic. But Gene's stuff, I was like, holy shit, this is horrible. But I played the shit out of the album anyway, and I knew the words to every song, and I sang it. And then, if I got on the bus with my little boom box, I had Animalize and Asylum. So, fucking loved it. But I hated it, of course. So go figure. Let's talk about favorite songs on the album. I mean, what are the ones I can immediately say opening track? I've had enough. Again, very, very strong. We've talked about Exciter, King of the Mountain, Creatures of the Night. They really had good opening tracks on the albums in the mid-'80s. For whatever else happened to those albums after you got past track one, fantastic track. Heavens on Fire, I like less than stuff like Under the Gun. I like it less than While the City Sleeps. That's like what that might be one of my guilty pleasures. It's just one of those things. Mark, what about you?
Well, I have to agree. I mean, I've Had Enough is probably one of the better opening tracks that they've had on record. I mean, I remember when, like I said, my sister got the record. When she first put it on, that was like, came out like thundering out of the speaker. I was like, wow, this is really impactful and very strong opening song. And I really liked it. And then from there, it went right into, Heavens on Fire, which was the single that everyone was already familiar with. So the record to me started out very strong. And then as it went on, to me, I just found that it kind of gradually did this like slope down in quality of songs, because I mean, my favorite songs off there are pretty much at the beginning. So, yeah. So I
Why
think
do you
that,
hate Murder in High Heels?
because it's weak and
I'm sorry,
poorly
Mark.
written.
What was that? Sorry,
It's weak.
There's static on the line. Sorry, not hearing you.
Well, I mean, I've never liked that song. I don't like "Lonely as the Hunter" either. I think those are like phoned in songs, as far as I'm concerned.
What about Paul Stanley gems like "Get All You Can Take"? I mean, is that like a pantheon of quality, or "Thrills in the Night"? I mean, they're both really dirgy. I mean, yeah, Gene's stuff is a little bit weak, but Paul, apart from, the opening track and Under the Gun and Heaven's on Fire, his other two, I wouldn't say for me are kind of the highest quality Paul that we've ever had the pleasure of listening to.
Well, the thing is, though, those two at the top are really good. The other song that I put in my top three, ironically, was "Get All You Can Take," because I think that's one of the songs that I actually didn't mind from that first side as well. You're going to be kind of surprised with this, but I really don't like Under the Gun. That solo at the very top that St. John does just sounds like 7 angry bees in a jar with a microphone inside there. It just sounds like out to lunch. That solo just totally threw me out the very first time I heard it. I'm like, what is he doing? But I understand the purpose of that song. They needed something upbeat and something, to keep the ball rolling on side 2. So it makes perfect sense, right? So, but I think that Paul's songs still overall are stronger than Gene's. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's probably close to fact, actually. But Ken, what about you?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, I enjoyed it when I first got it. And I want to say that I enjoyed all the songs on side 1 pretty much for the most part. And then, over time, Burn Bitch Burn became more of a, it's like, you could have done better than that. Or it would have been nice had they used some of the Vault stuff that didn't, that never made it on that album. Gene Simmons' Vault, he had some other songs that were better than the material that ended up on here. So, Get All You Can Take, I really enjoy. Always enjoyed that one. Of course, Heaven's on Fire, Loneliness Hunter, I always liked that one too. And then side 2 was a tough side for me, except for, Thrills in the Night. I never liked Under the Gun. I'm kind of like Mark. I just never liked that. I just thought it was too much of a reach to try to make another. That was more like a trying to follow some other trends, I think, in style on that one. But Thrills in the Night, I thought it was great. Man, that should have been a huge hit, but it did okay, I guess. They released it, and that was about it. But then the Gene Simmons songs at the end, that's not his best material at the end. Some good riffs, though, really good riffs, but they're kind of like not finished, thought out, complete. These songs kind of thrown together, but I think they had some great riffs in them. So anyway, first side, I enjoy it pretty much, all the way through. The second side, and then is the tough side for me.
Yeah, musically it's strong, or strong enough for the era. Lyrically,
it's sold.
Not so much. So
it sold a lot of copies, though, right?
It did.
So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it sold more than Lick It Up, didn't it?
Yeah, thanks to Vinny. Lonnie, what's your take?
I'm with Julian. I do like I've Had Enough, Into the Fire, and Heaven's on Fire. Great 1-2 punch for any album. But I will agree with that. When you flip the record over, it goes downhill.
It goes so far downhill that Lonnie
froze.
Oh. We are frozen.
Lonnie.
Are we froze?
I'm not. Who can hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
I apologize then. All right, so let's talk about least favorites. You know, Get All You Can Take From Me, Thrills in the Night, and
Really?
which Gene song am I going to throw under the bus?
Wait a minute. You said Thrills in the Night as one of your least favorite?
Yeah,
You don't like
I
that?
am not a fan of that. It's just,
Oh,
it's boring.
okay. All right.
And I'm going to have to go with Burn Bitch Burn, lyrically, because again, I think musically,
Yeah, lyrically is the problem.
yeah, it's the lyrics. It's not the music. It's not the production. I think the production's really good, and I know Michael James Jackson came back in to do the drums on this one, but Paul, and associate producer Gene Simmons, did,
Throw him a bone.
did a perfectly adequate job on that. It was always interesting listening to the work tapes, which I was able to get off from Mark, from all the kind of stuff that he was noodling around with in parts for the Animalize sessions, that really give you kind of a window into a lot of the stuff that Paul was doing producer-wise with the variable speed overlays, the doubling up. Love obviously the vocal warm-up for him that became the beginning to Heaven's on Fire. So, the strong stuff is really strong and the weak stuff is really weak. Mark, your picks.
Yeah.
We hopefully get.
Well, my bottom three are the ones I think I kind of mentioned. I mean, Lonely as the Hunter is just something that I just never really kind of connected with. Like, I mean, there's being simple in writing, and then there's kind of being like no effort really. And I think Gene could do better than that. I mean, the funny thing is, I believe, isn't this the one that had Bruce Kulick do the solo in it? Because I think that when I heard it,
He did the solo on Lonely as the Hunter.
yeah,
That's
Lonely as the
correct.
Hunter, yeah. That one I could, when I listen back to it now, it sounds very much like him now. Like, I mean, when you listen to it, you can totally pick it out that it's him playing it. Murder in High Heels is the same kind of thing for me. Like, I think it's just one of those situations where, Gene was busy with other things at the time, and he just, went in, tracked a couple of songs that he thought were decent, and got the heck out of there and went and did his other stuff. I think if he would have focused more on it and wrote, with a bit more heart behind it, I think he could have did better stuff. I mean, my third one that I put in there is on Under the Gun. Like I said, it's rare for me to pick a Paul song in my bottom three because I usually think he writes pretty solid stuff. I mean, for the most part. But I mean, just that song to me I think it suffers from what Ken was saying earlier. I think that he was trying to stay in what was hip at the time and writing from that perspective rather than just going with what his strengths are.
Yeah, I
have to agree.
Yeah. All right, I'm trying to add Lonnie back in, so I apologize for being a little bit distracted between beer, my day at work, and Skype. It's a little bit of a challenge. Ken, let's go to you on that same wrap up for Animalize, and we'll get into the other part of the show.
Yeah, if we're talking about the bottom three, I have to agree with Mark, really. I mean, except for the most part, the three of the four songs on side two. I mean, Thrills in the Night is the only one I think is the best one there. And then, Under the Gun, no. And then you got your two Gene Simmons songs that are, they're unfinished. They're just not finished. So those are the three that, fall by the wayside for me.
Yeah.
Lonnie, we're talking about our bottom three songs on the album here. I can't remember if you had already done yours.
See me or not. Can you guys see me or not?
I can see you, which is all that
yeah.
matters.
I can see you.
You can see I have a face for YouTube.
You have a face for iTunes.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the people that listen to this in their car. They probably fall asleep. My bottom three for the album have got to be Lonely as the Hunter. Oh, gosh, there's a lot to choose from here. Lonely as the Hunter.
Jeez.
While the City Sleeps.
Thrills in the Night.
And Thrills in the Night, yeah.
Wow.
No.
Yes. Come on. Come on. You guys are just going to sit here and defend Thrills in the Night.
Yeah.
Well, over Murder in High Heels, yeah.
There's a lot to choose from, but I will say.
All right.
All right. My next question is going to really flip your wig. All right, Mark, you are hired as a consultant for the Gene Simmons band. Which one of these Gene songs are you going to have Phil, Ryan, and those boys perform with Gene? Which one of these Gene gems are you going to have added to the Gene Simmons band set list?
Wow. Okay. That's an interesting question. I think I know which one right away just entered into my head, and I think I would pick this one mainly because of the fact that it's so popular amongst the Kiss community for the wrong reasons. I'd say Burn Bitch Burn. I think everybody would probably want to hear it because it's such a bad song. It's like people have talked about it so much through the years, like this terrible song, but I think if he played it, he would get a big round of applause for it. I really think he would.
That would be hilarious. I mean, he has recently done Fits Like a Glove, so I don't think there's anything that he couldn't auto cue lyrically, and that band can play anything. So, Lonnie,
I say
which
Burns,
song?
Burns Bitch Burn. Burn Bitch Burn. There's no question. I think the crowd would go nuts. They'd love it.
Ken.
No question.
Yeah, make that three of us because it's so cheesy. It's just to make it great that I can't believe he's doing this song, and I like Lonnie said, they would crowd would get a total rise out of it, and the same way as people have given bad rap to She's So European. And they're loving that one.
They are killing. They're totally killing that live. It's wonderful.
Some of these songs just translate better live anyway. Maybe that one would be totally, out of this world kind of thing. So
they were just
out of this world.
35 years too soon. All right, I'm just going to be a sheep then and agree with all of you. I mean, I think it would be hilarious. I think it would be better to have all the cameras actually pointing at the audience if he was to rip into that, because it would be hilarious, and it's probably the most up-tempo song on there that he doesn't have to worry about his singing technique or doing properly. He could just basically wing it and see them at the end of the song. So that would be hilarious. It would actually be really good fun because, again, it's the up-tempo Gene song. The other two, I was thinking Murder or While the City Sleeps. No, they're too slow. Let that band fly, and just don't give the audience time to actually process what they're saying. It's been done live before, hasn't it? So I think once. So cool shit.
A whole one time.
A whole one time, like get all you can take, which kind of says it all if you never go back to it. I think they did play a little bit of it acoustically on the convention tour.
Nah, it doesn't count.
I remember.
Anyway. All right, so let's get into another one of the things that we're celebrating in September. I mean, every single show we do this month should really be only about the albums that were released this month, which you have gems like Asylum. Which no one really wants to talk about again, but I do realize that. And, of course, it's the 40th anniversary of the solo albums, which is a lot more important than Animalize's birthday. What was the most recent solo album that you have listened to? There's obviously the 1978 solo albums. Mark.
Well, actually, it's funny because the other day when I was out doing my comparison tests, when I do my mixes and stuff like that, I sometimes like to bring other albums and just to compare for volume, quality, and sonics and so on and so forth. And the funny thing is, I brought out the Paul album. I really like Paul Stanley's '78 record. I think it's one of the better song written wise, and I think the production on it is really good. I mean, I love the sound of it. Everything under the drums sound great. His guitar tone is really good on that record, and I just think that everything is nicely placed on that record. The mix is really well done, and that's one of the records I always seem to go to. But the funny thing is, and I'll admit this openly right now, is that CD in my car, obviously. So I'm listening in the car to the Paul stuff. But I found that the last 5 out of 6 times I've played a Kiss record, for whatever reason, I've always been pulling out the Peter Criss solo record for some reason lately and putting it on, mainly because I've been getting a couple of different copies of it, like, getting like another pressing, a different variation. So I've been just listening to them. So I've been listening to the Peter Criss one quite a bit, and it has grown on me quite a bit. I'm still not going to put it any higher than last place, but it is irking a bit closer to Gene's than it was, years ago.
Nice. Lonnie, what about you?
I came home the other day and I threw on Paul's solo album just because it's that damn good. So it's definitely the last one I listened to was without a doubt Paul Stanley's, and just for that simple reason, it's that good of a record. It's absolutely perfection.
It's really, really good.
That's true.
Ken.
The last one I put on was a few months ago because I think I got another vinyl copy, different variation of the Gene Simmons solo album. So I know I put that on and played it and just see how the quality was, and it was good. So, and I always enjoyed Gene Simmons' album from the beginning. So they in a few months, that was the last one. It was a few months ago. But maybe if they release some new vinyl for the solos, I'll play those, all 4 of them.
Speaking of which, we've heard nothing of them celebrating the 40th anniversary of the solo albums.
Yeah,
which is awful.
They've got 5 days left. Don't forget.
They announced it on the day of the release. Something.
This is Kiss, and things are apparently happening with the colored vinyl. The announcement is coming. It's just about what form will it take. Will I be disappointed that it is not a box set of the individual colored vinyl albums in a reproduction 1979 Japanese box with a special edition of the best of the solo albums, including a CD of outtakes? Yeah, good luck with any of that. It'll probably be $40 each for the colored discs, only available from a specific seller, and there'll be no liner notes, there'll be no nothing, and they'll probably get something wrong. But at least they'll be out on colored wax, which is a positive, so be happy for what we do get, and don't worry. You're basically a dog at the table begging for scraps at this point, because it just doesn't seem to ever be what unrealistic expectations demand. So but on that little note, the album that I listened to most recently is actually Aces, and I listened to that the least of all of the solo albums. I listened to Peter's more, I listened to Gene's more, and like 2 of you, I listened to Paul's a lot. But with the shows that were coming up in Berkeley and in Petaluma, it just seemed time to get the album out and just give it a bash on its own, not mix it in with all the other solo albums and put it on random and let it go. So I just played it over and over and over, and I'm just, still amazed to this day of how good that album is, how good it sounds, and how well it has, really done over the last 40 years. It does not sound dated. The material sounds as fresh today as it did when I first heard it in 1985, and that was only 7 years odd since it was recorded. So it's done stunningly well. It never gets old, and the songs that I don't like on it, I still don't like it. It just never changes. It's like old reliable for me. I always go to it, and I never have a different opinion of it. I go to Peter's, I might think differently about a song that day. Aces, no, never changed my opinion on anything. Paul's, so I'm like, I'm bored of listening to that. Skip. Aces, no. Never, ever, ever like that. So, it's cool. I mean, when we talk about the solo albums, you kind of mentioned it, Mark, the announcement or lack thereof of anything coming from Kiss. Has the boat been missed again? Should they be doing more to celebrate the 40th anniversary of these solo albums? And I'll just go to you first on that.
Well, I mean, I'm always mind boggled by this because every band that I follow, like for example, Yes, they've been announcing all kinds of stuff for their 50th anniversary. Case in point, 50th anniversary, Yes, live at the Apollo. And this is the version with, John Anderson, Trevor Rabin, and Rick Wakeman, the offshoot, the second version of Yes. But I mean, here they are, 50th anniversary, and they're putting out stuff. They're doing 50th anniversary tour. They put out a special 50th anniversary program. That's really nice that I got. I mean, what does it take for these guys to finally smell the coffee? I mean, I'm finally getting to the point with them where I'm not expecting anything anymore. And if I do get something, then I'll be overjoyed. Because I mean, all the other bands, like I said, I talk about, they always seem to put out something. I'll never get disappointed with King Crimson. There's always a cool box set in the works somewhere with them, And like I said, Yes, they're not disappointing. They're putting out stuff for their 50th anniversary. What is it that it would take for Kiss to do something similar to this? I know we've talked about 100 times that they don't own their catalog and blah 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 blah. But come on, I mean, Universal by now has got to see that people want this stuff,
Yeah, come on. Look at Def Leppard and that box set that they just released of 4 albums.
Yeah.
Why on earth can't they just do even a simple box of 4 CDs? I mean, come on. It's like a no-brainer. Angel, the whole fucking catalog's about to come out on Friday in a box. And nothing ever seems to happen with Kiss, and it's just so goddamn disappointing. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. I mean, what is the major malfunction? Is it that they don't control anything? Is it that they don't care? I mean, Paul's got Wentworth Gallery things scheduled. Gene has 7-Eleven scheduled. So they're doing stuff.
Teach their own.
Yeah. Is that really more interesting than marking a single one of their milestones? They missed the boat with, the Love Gun Deluxe. Just a complete clusterfuck as far as I'm concerned. They didn't do anything with Alive 2, which is the highest point of their kind of live career and everything that they recreated in 1996. The solo albums, nothing. Not a freaking piddle.
Yeah. We did a show the day that Alive turned 40. And we said the same thing that day. Why isn't there a deluxe edition of Alive coming out today? Because I think we recorded the show like on a Friday. We're like, why isn't there a 40th anniversary of Alive coming out today that has those untouched recordings on it, or just anything to celebrate these milestones of excellence? I mean, these are the songs that you still play to this day, 40 years later. Yeah, Animalize, fuck you. Just any of these are the songs that you still play 40 years later. These are the songs that still put butts in the seats. Do something to celebrate the greatness of these albums, and there's nothing.
Unfortunately, it's not that there is nothing. It's that the fucking bootleggers do it, so that you can go out and buy a pirated edition of, Love Gun.
I don't want that.
Or you can buy a pirated edition of the best of the box set on double vinyl. Or now the latest one coming out is, of course, the one that some of us in the collecting community were maligned with being involved with, the Not for the Innocent CD that's going to come out, allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
Where the fuck is the record label? These guys bitch about losing revenue, but they never do anything about losing revenue. They never actually... It's not even about thinking outside the box. It's, well, maybe just a little slice on the packing tape to get outside of the fucking box. Let some air in and actually release something, do something. Not even something like rehashing... Remember the singles? The CD singles, cassette. Not even doing a little box of those. I mean, nothing. It's like devoid of anything whatsoever. Ken, be reasonable for us for a minute.
Well, as I see it, music, their music and their heritage of music is at the bottom of their... What's more important to them is putting a name on their name or logo on a piece of toilet paper,
or a soda.
or a shitty
soda,
deformed doll.
A stuffed animal.
Don't like the dolls.
Did you see the dolls? Did you see that doll?
Don't knock the
guy,
dolls.
Paul Stanley.
They turned Paul Stanley into a troll. I mean, Jesus! They actually let someone license him and do that to him.
It's more about junk, and then about respecting. Let's show some respect for the music and the heritage, their history of music. What the heck is wrong? I mean, come on. This is what made you. The music made you guys. Yes, and the show. Sure, they're going to do this tour. But the music needs to happen. Look at Metallica. They're coming out with another box also. Justice for All. Guns N' Roses had theirs recently. Kiss can do a box for every dang album they've done.
Watch your language.
Start at one. Yeah, I know. I caught myself. Try to keep it clean here. But they could do a box for every. Why can't they monetize all that stuff? I don't care. They should go to the label and talk to about a plan to create some kind of archive collection, like Paul McCartney has done, for instance.
Maybe we're gonna get that. Maybe we're sitting here bitching and complaining today, and maybe next year with the whole end of the road or whatever the hell you want to call it is going to happen. Maybe they're going to have stuff to coincide with this to whet our appetite. Maybe there's plans in the works that they're going to do something with, make the first even if it's just like the first original 6 albums or something. I don't know. I would think that there'd be some kind of marketing plan behind this tour to celebrate the music next year. Maybe that's what we're waiting on. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but so far they haven't celebrated their music at all.
No, I know.
They don't. They don't seem to respect their history. They don't seem to respect their legacy. If they respected any of this, if they respected their legacy, they would have performed at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But they clearly don't. They clearly don't care about anything. I mean, if you think of Def Leppard has had a deluxe edition for Pyromania specifically, for Hysteria, for Adrenalize. Okay. Hysteria you can kind of understand. Mega fucking album. Even Pyromania to that extent, even though there's not that much to actually package with it. But Adrenalize? I mean, come on. They even did a deluxe edition for Slang.
Really?
Yeah. Wow.
That's crazy. That one is...
And since then, they've done, a ton of, massive release. So... what is Kiss's excuse for, here we are, 40th anniversary of one of the biggest things in music history, 4 simultaneous releases of solo albums, all co-branded, all co-packaged, right down to having all the point of sale bags. And here we are 5 days out, and there's very little murmur of anything. So... what the fuck? I mean, pardon me, but it's just, year after year after year of disappointment with this band. Yeah, Metallica's doing these gigantic boxes, and Justice is next. Not without its own disappointment that they still haven't properly mixed in the bass, even if they do have work reference mixes in there. We don't know what's going to be there, or the demos, which some people have said didn't have a whole lot of bass either. But... these giant LP-sized boxes with, 12 CDs and DVDs.
Picture discs. They actually showed, they had a Kirk Hammett do an unboxing of it online. If you go on YouTube, you'll see Kirk Hammett unboxing the latest Justice for All box set. And the thing that when I watched it, really impressed me.
He let go of his whammy bar long enough to do an unboxing.
Wow.
Well, but here's the thing that really impressed me about it, and this is an example of a band that takes their stuff really seriously. When they showed the vinyl, Kirk Hammett showed it, one like this, and he showed the dead wax, like he pointed at it. He goes, pressed on the Metallica press. And he goes, that's right. He goes, Metallica has their own vinyl printing press, like their own vinyl press that they have in a factory and press their own vinyl. See, they don't care about waiting for anybody else to come around and do it when they want to. They do it on their own with their own shit. So why can't Kiss, go ahead and pressure their label to go ahead and do stuff like this for them too. I mean, Metallica do it like that, no problem. Look at their boxes; they're beautiful, you know.
Because Metallica gets it. Metallica gets it because you can go on their website and you can buy the concert that you want to, or any concert that you want to. All the things that we say that Kiss should be doing, Metallica is doing.
Yeah,
they get it
too.
They control the big difference. Like Motley, they control
they control it.
They control their catalog, and Kiss apparently doesn't control it and has walked away from it. Apart from the very leastest possible, which is a shame. I mean, Kiss really should have publishing arm, should have video arm, should have audio arm, should have official bootleg arm. I mean, come on, some of these multi-camera shots that fans have put together, they should be going to the people who did them, saying, "Give me your sources," and put them out and monetize them themselves and put the fucking bootleggers out of business. I mean, there's some very good stuff that's been put out unofficially. Well, the band technically owns all of that and can easily tell people, maybe not, I don't know the legal side of it well enough to actually say, but if, other bands like Pearl Jam and Metallica can do bootlegs, and there are bootlegs on this And Justice for All box, come on.
I mean, why can't, I said this before, why can't they buy it all back? I mean,
they really are. They're brilliant businessmen, aren't they? Yeah, that's obvious.
Buy it back. I mean, Universal, they don't even release anything anymore, hardly. We got that Destroyer red vinyl recently for a limited amount of copies, but that was
Universal's trying to monetize off it. I don't think they give a crap.
I don't think they're making that much money off of it, or they don't see it as a money maker. Because they don't want to put money into it, to the project to try to create these box sets and whatever else. I think Kiss should buy their stuff back and get some people on board, fans, maybe.
Let's start a GoFundMe.
That can, Julian. That can
float Kiss on the stock exchange
to help them put this into projects that. Build each album and all the materials that can go into books and just everything that you can think of.
But the funny thing is,
already.
Yeah, but the funny thing is that I think that Kiss have given up on the whole business thing. I think they're just content on just being a performing band. They don't care so much about the business side, because if you look at some of these other bands, they went ahead now, started their own indie label, got their shit back and started releasing it. I mean, lots of bands have done that. Zappa, Family Trust has done it. King Crimson got all their stuff back and released it on their own label now too. I mean, and that's the thing to do. But you have to realize that when you do that, when you go and make your own label and do that, there's a lot of work behind it. Maybe Kisser had it up to here with business and don't want to do it. So maybe that's why they're not pursuing it. Because if you're going to do that, the best route for them to do it is to get their stuff back, make their own label independently, and just release everything like that, because you can't rely on Universal, because Universal has so many labels under their umbrella and so many bands, and bands that are bigger to them than Kiss. So Kiss will not be a priority to them as far as releasing anything.
Yeah, it's just a shame at this point. If Kiss had a publishing arm, I would have put Odyssey, the solo book, and Crazy Nights books out through them. If we could have just come to a reasonable arrangement, which meant that I take less money in order to get their interviews and have them included, and someone else handles including photographs and all that shit. That would have been like perfect. And then they make money off it, I make a little, and everyone's happy. But there's no vision, there's no ideas, and the control of it is one thing. And we talk about this a lot because I think it's something that bugs a lot of people. It's one of those things that is at the core of all these releases. Every record store day comes and goes, and there's nothing, and there's no interest, and then you get something that's really kind of substandard. It's just, it's like, it's the licensing fee for a doll that looks like it's melted wax more important.
Whoa.
It has a little candle you're going to light a little.
I'm sorry, that paw looks like it's like it's a deformed doll.
That might be one of the worst things I've ever seen.
The Family Guy.
I love the Dallas, but that might be one of the worst things I've ever seen.
I
can't
mean,
see
look
myself
at the
buying it.
ones behind you. Those look badass. Those look absolutely fantastic.
Those are
Lonnie.
cool from 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I still wouldn't buy them, but I'm like, that looks cool.
And like this guy here, he's cool.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a McFarlane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see what it's become, and then you see the comics, and you see, it's just like Hello Kitty. It's like, what have we done to deserve this? I guess I guess what we've done is buy it.
200 episodes is what we've done to deserve this.
So what you're saying is it's their fault.
Right.
You're passing the buck. If you buy substandard Kiss shit just to keep these licensees kind of breaking even, they're going to keep buying licenses for substandard shit that you're going to keep buying.
Well, Julian, you said and we've heard that the solo albums is in the works. We'll see how they do with that and whether they get it right or not. And maybe, depending on how that turns out, maybe this will be the beginning of hopefully more to come. If it really does well.
Yes,
so,
I mean,
okay,
hell,
let's
surprise
go to the next
me,
one now. Let's
surprise me, amaze me,
creatures,
make me look stupid. I mean, that would be awesome.
If it does come to fruition and it's really cool, everyone needs to go out and buy it to encourage more things like this, more things like that, potentially like that, I guess, to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way it's going to happen is if people go out and buy it, or else people don't buy it. Is that, why waste our time and put together a rock and roll over deluxe set or something?
2019, you have the 40th anniversary of and people
Dynasty?
people busted me up when I did the show with Roger that neither of us said Dynasty. So you've got the 40th anniversary of that album coming out. There are quite a few outtakes from that album. Not only the disco mixes of Dirty Living, the single mix of Hard Times, the UK mix of 2000 Man, the disco mix of I Was Made for Loving You.
Who's making a burrito?
Yeah.
That's my son getting his dinner. So, and it's actually a curry, so no burritos in this house. So that is another opportunity that had some very good international releases. I'm thinking of Japan and the poster that was included in certain versions of that album. Again, opportunities that they only now have until May 2019 to get something sorted out for that album. And again, there are a lot of different mixes available of material from that album. There are outtakes, say Peter Criss's demos that were recorded under Casablanca, which should technically or theoretically be controlled by Universal at this point because they were under the contract. So you've got Rumble, you've got Out of Control.
Out of Control.
All four of those demos. You've got demos from Paul. You've got the work tapes of Sure Know Something, I Was Made for Loving You, and did they do Dirty Living as the third one on like that 8 hours? So they've got a lot of demos. And they also have radio, because some of the most important Kiss radio appearances did occur in promotion of that album. So they should be thinking about that. And then after that, you have Unmasked. Well, what about a remix of Unmasked?
Mm-hmm.
Give it a little bit of balls. What about the Naked City demo? All of these things happen sequentially, that on a yearly basis they could be doing, whether they have a custom website for the dwindling fan base, that you are paying a higher premium, say like a pledge. So I would have paid $250 for a proper box of the solo albums on colored vinyl with lots of little insert shit and maybe a bonus EP. If it's something that is good value, then you can pay a premium and you can get away with selling fewer copies. Think of Gene's Vault. That's really like the ultra example of that kind of mentality. So, what would I pay for a super deluxe of Dynasty off a website that I am a member of, and you get to see little video things, and maybe how much effort does it take Paul to sit down for half an hour just to record some sound bites?
Yeah.
Too much, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, Lonnie.
Too much.
Yeah. I mean, the more we talk about it, the more sad and depressing it gets, this kind of stuff, because like we said before, we come up with all these great ideas, and, so do people who watch this show. They leave all kinds of great comments about stuff that could, be done for it. And it just falls on deaf ears, and, the moment passes. And it's really heartbreaking, because for a band that always seems to say that, they're in it for their fans, it would be nothing without their fans. They're doing very little to reward their fans. I mean, other bands have done a lot more for their fans than Kiss have. And if they're actually listening to that, I would look to Square Nine and tell them that you do nothing for your fans. Okay.
Bang your fist on the table, Mark. Come on.
You do nothing. Okay. We demand action. Okay. We want products. We want more box sets. We want outtakes. Come on. I mean, everything's there. I like Julian said, there's so many great products that can be made, and for somebody like,
he's in the middle of a hot take.
Oh,
Gene,
damn it!
He's in the middle of a hot take, and
damn it!
Wi-Fi froze.
Oh,
Mark,
did it go?
Perfect timing. You're just gonna have to do take 2 on that.
Well, no, I was just saying, like, for Gene, somebody who's such a big business guy, for him not to jump on all these great ideas that I'm sure he could have, heard on here or other places, and, heard people talk about, why he hasn't capitalized on it, I have no idea.
Yeah, why you haven't monetized it? I mean, come on. If you think of all the money that you have lost by doing nothing over the last 20 years when it comes to actually interesting releases, the bootleggers have made the money. How's that make you feel? That you let all those coins and dollars just fall by the waypoint, and people are selling CDs for $60 fucking on eBay. How much of that are you getting, Gene?
Imagine
nothing whatsoever.
Imagine, Julian, like you said, a nice Dynasty box set. It's a box. You open it up. You have the CDs in there. It's a gatefold too. You have a gatefold vinyl, and it opens up, and you have in the middle, you have either the poster or you have maybe the one where they're wearing the straight jacket. You see that in there.
Yeah, and the cover is the version of the album without the airbrushing to
exactly.
And then you explain why on the inside. And Ken Sharp tells you a story about everything.
It makes too much sense. That's why.
God, I mean, what a band to be into that has such a visual and musical history. And
but the funny thing is too, when we're talking about them losing money on it, like, for example, and I've just read this the other day, like Frank Zappa, he got really annoyed when bootleggers were starting to make money off of bootleg releases of his music. What did he do? He turned around and released a series of albums called the Frank Zappa Road Tapes on CD. Then there were a bunch of shows that are actual bootlegs. He put them out himself, and he said he pretty much crippled his bootleg competition because of it, because all those shows that they were putting out, he put them out in better quality, out on his own, and therefore nobody went to the bootlegger. They went to him and got the same shows but better. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what we're talking about here. Why don't they do that?
Yeah, especially when you think about how many soundboards there are from concerts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't those out? You just going to wait until someone actually gets their grubby mitts on them and bootlegs them?
Bootlegs them?
Yeah. I mean, what the hell are you sitting on? This is not a retirement stream. You're losing money because Kiss fans are now at the age where we're dying. You are losing your ATMs. I mean, you've waited too long to actually put stuff out now that a lot of Kiss fans are passing away.
Or don't care.
Getting divorced, having their stuff sold at Goodwill, and not caring anymore. Because they've waited and waited and waited. Nothing ever happens. Nothing new ever happens. Nothing of interest actually brings them back in. That the concerts are the same. You haven't seen them in 5 years and you go, and really? It's the same fucking video screen? It's the same video background? And I just paid 3 times the ticket?
I hope that's not the case next year.
Man, it
what,
can't be.
What would they care if it's if it's the end? What would they care?
No, they don't care.
They're just they're like sliding into home base here.
Well, this is really uplifting, guys.
I know. I feel sad all of a sudden.
So we're celebrating the
Yay!
Even more uplifting.
You know, it's hard not to get depressed, and I think at this point, you know, it's like a game show where you got to call a buddy and say, "Hey, give me a reason to live. Give me a reason to keep believing in this band." Yeah. Okay. Little crazy nights there, but you know, why should anyone still care about this band when they don't seem to care about themselves anymore? Talk us down. I mean, is that what you feel out there? Does this band care, or have they been done and we're just catching up to reality?
It's a sad thought.
Yeah. All right, let's leave that there. Because
Thanks for listening.
I now definitely need another beer after that.
Are we going to make it to 202 episodes?
No matter what, Lonnie, we made it to 200.
We'll find out next week.
201 is definitely going to happen because I've been asking people, and hopefully everyone who's involved in the show is polling their friends for the next episode's all about you. And that, dear listener, is what are the things you want to ask us? If you want to ask Mark a question, ask him. Send it to us, on Facebook or elsewhere. Email kissfaq@outlook.com. Want to ask Ken a question? You want to have Ken answer a question about his fandom? Lonnie about his. Who's going to be on the show next week? Daniel, everyone's favorite.
Yeah, Daniel.
So we've got a bunch of really good questions that fans have asked, and I guarantee you will want to, if you've pressed skip, then you're not hearing this, but there have been a lot of good questions submitted so far, some ones that you might think I might shirk and press delete on. I'm going to answer those tough ones as much as I try and avoid drama. Maybe a little bit of salt and pepper will spice things up. So
questions from the FAQ.
And from Facebook, something we haven't addressed before, a topic. If we don't get to it in the next episode, we'll probably do future episodes where we go back to some of these questions that we have not answered. But I guess for now, on such a high point that we ended this episode.
Is anyone still listening anyway?
Yeah. It's better just to say adios. See you next time. From Mark, from Ken, from Lonnie, and myself, thanks for listening. And if you are still listening, thanks for suffering through that dirge of melancholy misery. Bye for now. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.